good morning, selamat pagi, wherever you are dialing in from. Singapore, we have folks joining from Singapore, we have folks joining from Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines. My name is Nicholas, and I'll be moderating today's session. So as a brief introduction, I actually joined iZeno last month to head the analytics team here. So today I'll be joined by my two Mas Alamsyah, partners about Google's suite of products and capabilities, especially in the data and AI space. And then I also have my team member here, Jovinka, who's an analytics consultant, and she'll be leading us today in a demo of Vertex AI, so Google Vertex AI. And she'll also share a little bit about sentiment analysis and how you can use sentiment analysis within your organization. Right, and then following that, we have a live Q&A session later. You can ask us any questions you have, and then we'll be happy to answer them later on. Okay, and of course, big shout out, big thanks to Stefani and Roshini from our marketing team for helping to put this webinar together. Yeah, thank you very much for your your support, your good work in organizing this. So the agenda for today, of course, I just wanted to share a little bit about iZeno, what we do, what some of the services we provide. First, I'll do a few minutes before I pass it on to Mas Alamsyah. iZeno is part of the Logicalis group, and Logicalis is a very large SI, private SI, based in the UK. Started with networking solutions, Cisco, things like that, and then sort of branched out to hardware, HP and Dell, and other traditional IT solutions, VMware, and so on and so forth. Logicalis actually acquired iZeno, but as part of the larger Logicalis group, they're, as I mentioned, they're based in the UK, they operate globally, and there's about 7,000 employees worldwide. At iZeno Singapore, we're also very close to the Logicalis APAC team, which is based in Singapore. We have a very complementary portfolio of technology partnerships and services that we offer. Yeah. And then, of course, within the individual countries, for example, Indonesia, we have very strong partnerships with other sister companies as part of the Logicalis group umbrella. So for iZeno specifically, we have headquarters in Singapore, offices in Southeast Asia, especially Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, and we have members of our data engineering as well as data analytics team based in each of these countries, and we're covering a full range of process and capabilities in both the pre-sales element of data analytics as well as the delivery side. Okay, moving on, we have a wide range of capabilities from application modernization to being a tech provider to increasingly the cloud data and AI side. For data and AI, we have support for both, as I mentioned, data engineering and data analytics. Data engineering, for example, we support you in sort of doing data migration strategies, architecting your sort of modern data stack, data warehousing, ELT, ETL work, etc., all the way throughout this entire data journey to your AI models, AI projects, AI project deployment, and then even post-deployment into the monitoring, into the model governance, and so on, right? So we really support customers along the entire journey, right? The entire data and AI transformation. We have the right team, we have the right skills and experience and knowledge to support you throughout this entire process. Yeah. And today we have, as I will introduce shortly, we have Mas Alamsyah, but we also have a very precious relationship with Google Cloud, right? The B2B arm of Google. In iZeno, we define our partnerships in two types, right? We have the strategic partnerships, and then we have emerging partnerships. And Google is a very strategic partnership for us. Today, of course, it's all about Google. We have expertise across the whole Google stack, from the containerization element, right? GKE, Kubernetes, to applications, Apigee, API gateway, data warehousing using BigQuery, and so on, right? Full suite of capabilities. But today we will focus mostly on Vertex AI, right? Vertex is Google's machine learning and MLOps platform, right? And notebooks and things like that, right? So I'll pass it on to Mas Alam for his next part. Oh, before that, I think we have a poll. So there should be a poll on your screen coming up. Okay, we have two questions. What is your current level of familiarity with machine learning and AI, right? Beginner, intermediate, advanced. Of course, the subjective assessment, and different people in different organizations will also assess it differently. And then next, which tools or programming language do you primarily use in your AI projects, right? Is it Python, Java, or do you have other programming languages, or you haven't started on any projects yet? So we'll just give it a few minutes for you to lock in your answers, and I'll share that with the folks. Okay, 100% are beginners, which is perfect. So everyone who has voted, looks like you are quite new to AI machine learning. So this definitely will benefit you. I think this event here is really to introduce you to the capabilities, especially the auto ML capabilities within Google. Auto ML meaning that in the past, maybe about 3 to 5 years ago, you would need to have coding knowledge, right? Python, you would need to know about which of the packages to use, right? Could it be scikit-learn? Could it be XGBoost? Is it pandas or NumPy? You would need to have this kind of knowledge in order to do machine learning. But increasingly, in the last few years, there have been a lot of platforms and tools like Vertex to make it a lot easier for you to do machine learning and AI in your organization, and not just for structured data, which is, oh, so I think we have a bit of feedback. Okay. So as I mentioned, the auto ML, or the ability to do machine learning without any code, has gone not just for tabular and structured data, but increasingly what we're seeing is even for unstructured data, right? So we have PDF information. Let's say you have a lot of documents, you have slides, or you even have video feeds like a CCTV, or you have, in the case of maybe sensors, IoT sensors, or audio files for a contact center, call center. So nowadays, it's getting really, really straightforward to build your own machine learning models and to productionize that model, because training the machine learning model in itself is not enough. You have to be able to move it into production, and getting more than just one or two users of your model. You need to have the ability to expose it to a wide range of internal stakeholders, the employees within your company, and then outside your company, right? To people who are your end users, your customers, and etc. Right. So that's the importance of being able to quickly build a model and to productionize. So having the end goal in mind is really about exposing that model. Okay. Next up, we have which tools, programming languages do you primarily use? I think a lot of people are also they select Python or R, and then some of you are selecting Java. So Python for sure is Python for sure is one of the most popular languages. And in terms of a production-ready machine learning language, that's the best one. But R as well. R is very good for statistics. It's good for manipulation of calculation of statistical values. And then, of course, what we'll see later on is you don't even need to know Python programming or other types of programming in order to make use of the benefits of Google Vertex. Yeah. So without further ado, I will pass it over to Mas Alam Shah. Looks like he's ready. So Mas Alam Shah, feel free to just take over the screen. Yeah.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you for the opening. So let me share my tab. Okay, please let me know if my voice is breaking or the screen is disconnected. So yeah, good morning, everybody. Nice to meet you all virtually. As Nick has introduced, my name is Alam Shah. I'm a partner solution consultant from Google Cloud Indonesia. I based in Jakarta. And today, as opening, I would like to introduce what Nick has mentioned before about the Vertex AI, our platform to make you easier to develop, to prepare, develop, training, and serving your AI and machine learning model for your business use case. So before we talk about the Vertex AI, firstly, as a Google and Google Cloud, we have a mission to accelerate every organization to do a digital transformation and also reimagine the business through what we call a data-powered innovation. So in here, it is clear that Google's objective is to help the customers and using the technology and basically to make a differentiator by using a data, because people mention the data is new oil. Who has the data has the advantage in the competition. In this mission statement, there are two things that I want to highlight. The first one is every organization. Every organization means that Google Cloud Solution is not just for a big conglomerate, for example, or a big company. Everyone that need help or need technology to help them grow the business can use Google Cloud, and that's why we're providing the several services. Starting, you can start from small and then grow up later on, and the cost is very competitive. And the second one is a data-powered innovation. In here, we bring our 2 decades of experience using data to solve hard problems, right? We have a line of services from data analytics, AI, machine learning, security, and so on and so forth. The objective is to bring what we have experienced so far running the big data services that back up the technology or facilities like Google Search, YouTube, Play, and so on and so forth to you as a customer, as a business customer. So all this time we talk about the data, right, and the importance of the data. But what I've seen so far is data is no use if you're not activated it. For example, if you have a data in the hard copy, right, sitting under your desk, uh, uh, distributed in the several databases, lying just there and cannot be used, this kind of data is the data what I call is data that are not activated, because it's just sitting there consuming your storage, for example, but you are not activating it. And then how to activate this data? There are two major things or two major way to activate the data. The first one, if you are familiar with the data analytics, you can create a data warehouse and then you do the analytic dashboard or do reporting and submit it to the management reporting and so on and so forth. That's one way to activate the data. So you get the insight from the data that you are already processed, right? The second one is what we call AI and machine learning. This is the other way to activate your data. So if the data analytic purpose is just for reporting, dashboarding, analytics, one-time analytics purpose, right? The AI and ML can further activate your data by doing what we call a pattern recognition, right? So if you have a set of data, actually AI and machine learning is a computer program that we can use to recognize what is the pattern of your data, and then usually we do a prediction or classification based on the pattern that has been learned by the machine, right? So we can automatically predict something, the output, based on the combination of input or feature that you have, right? So with the advance of the generative AI nowadays, around 3 or 4 months back, it is mentioned that AI and machine learning now it's a technology that can make a revolution. According to the trends, it is mentioned that AI and machine learning now it's become a technology that can drive the revolution. Uh, as the steam power drive the revolution in 1784, electricity give a new way to do something in 1870, and information technology connecting people from around the world since 1969. And today, by the advance of AI and machine learning, people think that new thing can be introduced to the business to make business more efficient and more profitable. So if you think about AI and machine learning, don't think about the robot in the sci-fi movies or sci-fi series like Star Wars, like Iron Man, for example. Don't don't think that further. Actually, you can start uh, AI and machine learning in very simple way and make impact to how your business make a decision. Yeah. As I mentioned before, basically the AI machine learning is recognizing the pattern and doing classification or prediction based on those pattern that has been learned by the system or the machine. The example use case is, for example, you can do a demand forecasting. If you have sufficient data, selling data from your company, for example, you have 3 years of sellers data. Actually you can recognize the pattern when this for example shoes are selling higher in the season, when is the lowest, what kind of shoes that customer like, and so on and so forth, right? Or if you are in the Southeast Asia, for example, whether the selling is higher in the Hari Raya, for example, or around the Christmas, that can be recognized, that can be predicted using machine learning or AI. So you can do preparation beforehand. Also in retail, you can also do the customer segmentation. For example, if you have data from your customer, actually you can deploy some unsupervised machine learning model to do customer segmentation. Where is your loyal customer? Where is your which one is your one-time customer? Which customer that purchasing only the shoes, for example, which one that only purchasing a bags, which one that doesn't care which is shoes or bag, as long it is branded by your company, when they will buy it, and so on and so forth. Something like that, you can deploy AI and machine learning model to do that activities or that goals. There are many others example. For example, in FSI, if you have sufficient record of your customer transaction, you can recognize some transaction that can be identified as fraud, for example, right? Or you can recognize which customer that will leave your uh, business by using churn prediction, for example, or which customer that like or doesn't like your product by sentiment analysis. So that kind of simple things that you can start with by using AI and machine learning. So now what is the Google portfolio to support this kind of initiative to deploy the AI and machine learning? So basically we have this platform, what we call a Vertex AI. Vertex AI is basically a set of product or services prepared for you uh, to make it easier for you to deploy or to train and deploy your machine learning model. We have a broad ecosystem of partners. Sometimes we cannot do all by ourselves. We need a partners to do that. We have a broad ecosystem of partners like iZeno, for example. And also we are backed up by Google principle of responsible AI, which means that if you create something using AI and machine learning, that should be we should be able to explain it why AI make that decision. And also if they talk about generative AI, the output of the generative AI should be something that not against the morality, for example. And all is backed up by Google Cloud Advanced Infrastructure, which include a GPU and the faster TPU, so you can train your model as fast as possible. A little bit deep dive on the Vertex AI component. So basically, Vertex AI consists, as I mentioned before, Vertex AI consists of many services. The top one is what we call no code and low code workflow. I will explain it a little bit in the next section. So this enable a customer who doesn't have data scientist, for example, or cannot do programming, Python, and so on and so forth, but they still want to have their own machine learning model. Yeah. And then for the advanced user, we also have a data science toolkit like a Workbench, manage Jupyter Notebook, if you are familiar with Jupyter Notebook, and also integration services with the Google Cloud services like Cloud Storage, BigQuery, Cloud Spanner, and BI tools. And then under that, we have a custom workflow for experiment, train, and deploy. And nonetheless, the last one is machine learning ops, where we can monitor the model, as I mentioned before, explain the AI decision, register all the model that has been developed, and evaluate the model, and so on and so forth. So this is a complete one place to serve all you need for related to the AI and machine learning. And not to mention, in the next 23, we announced that Vertex AI will also have capability to handle generative AI by using Gen AI Studio and Model Garden and AI APIs. So let's deep down a little bit about each component. For as mentioned before, there are many components available according to your needs, and this is the first one. Well, this is what we call Vertex AI pre-trained model. The purpose of this Vertex AI pre-trained model is to provide you with a ready API, ready AI API that you can use or you can embed to your application without you need to do training or developing your own machine learning model. All has been developed by Google. For example, in Vision, if you have a requirement to detect if a picture have a specific object, or if a picture in a certain location, or if a picture have a mature content, and so on and so forth, you can leverage the Vision. You just bring your picture and then call the Vision AI API, and then Vision AI API will help you detect the object, detect the location, detect whether there are mature content or not that need to be removed, and so on and so forth. You just call the API and provide your data. The API will return the information that you need. As simple as that. Or another example is translation. If you're familiar with Google Translate, you can leverage Google Ready Translation API to do translation for your application also. Or if you have a requirement to check the sentiment, for example, you can engage natural language API and give this API input, for example, a feed from your Twitter, from your Facebook, give it to natural language API, and it will return the what is the emotion there, what is the sentiment there, and so on and so forth. So the experience is just bring your data, call the API, and then that's it. You got the information or the classification that you need. What if you deploy the pre-trained model, it doesn't meet your requirement? For example, if you bring the picture and then call the vision API, it can detect whether there are human in picture or not, right? However, this vision API cannot determine whether there are it is Nick in there, whether Alam in there, whether Jovinka in there. They cannot do that. How if you want to have a machine learning model that have that capabilities to not just detecting the person, but also the name of the person. But again, you don't have capabilities to do coding or you don't have data scientists. That's the second option that we have, which is AutoML in Vertex AI. So if you are familiar with developing AI machine learning model, usually you need to collect your data, define the schema, define the target features, and then you sometimes you need to do feature engineering, model selection, hyperparameter tuning, and then after that you need to deploy your model and so on and so forth. It is a job or the task that requires the capability or skill in AI and data science, right? The purpose of AutoML is to simplify all in the middle, this one in the middle, and you just give it to AutoML. What you need to do is just preparing the data. Preparing the data mean here if I need to create the system that can determine whether Nick in there, Alam in there, Jovinka in there. You just need, for example, bring 100 picture of Nick, bring 100 picture of Alam, bring 100 picture of Jovinka, and give it to the system. That's what we call the data set. And then in AutoML, you also need to set the training budget. Training budget will determine how much resources available to do the training. If you give small resources, maybe the training can take longer. But if you allocate big enough resources, the training can be shorter, right? So that's just two things, the data set and training budget. All the feature engineering, like I mentioned before, model selection, tuning, and so on and so forth, will be taken care by AutoML. And then if the model is ready, you can start call it to make a prediction. Yeah. That's the beauty of AutoML. The other option for customer who doesn't have a data scientist or enough capabilities or skills in AI ML, but still they want to have a machine learning model, and then in the same time they also have sufficient skills in the database administrator, for example, or data engineer. So for those customers who have that kind of skill set, they can leverage what we call a BigQuery ML or BigQuery machine learning. So basically, by using BigQuery machine learning, you can create the machine learning using the SQL syntax that is familiar to the database administrator. What you need to do is you just need to bring the data to BigQuery, pump the data to BigQuery, and then execute some SQL syntax to train and to develop the machine learning model according to the algorithm that you will use. For example, in here, if you want to do classification, you can use logistic regression, XGBoost, or if you want to do regression, you can do DNN regression, for example, wide and deep NNs, for example, or if you want clustering unsupervised using a k-mean clustering, you can also do that. So the name of the algorithm is provided here. You just need to bring the data, execute some simple SQL syntax by leveraging the algorithm that will be used, and then the model will be ready for you. Something like that. So that's the typical offering that we offer if customer is just new to the AI and ML. Of course, if you are hardcore AI ML enthusiast or expert, you can leverage all the tools that provided. For example, a Jupyter Notebook. We also provided a virtual machine to train your a model, GPU and TPU and so on and so forth. We provide the facilities, and also we provide the serving capability. So after you create the model, you want to serve to other parties, the serving side also can be handled by Vertex AI. Yeah. So how about the generative AI, which is so famous last 2 or 3 months back, right? Fortunately, in Vertex AI, we also can develop generative AI based application. So basically, the capabilities in here is first one is model garden. A model garden can be think as a one-stop shop for all models that are provided either by Google or by third-party open source model. Right. For example, we provide Palm for chat and text. We provide Cody for code generation. We provide Imagen for image generation. All the model you can find here, including the third-party model such as Llama from Meta and other model also available in here. You can use the model directly by calling the API, or you can tune it according to your requirement. All is provided in this model garden. And if you want to prototyping your application first before you deploying to real coding or real application, in here we provide what we call Gen AI Studio in Vertex AI. So basically, this is a UI for testing your and tuning your model. For example, in generative AI, you know that if you want to tune the model, we can provide them with prompt tuning, or we can do or provide context to them so they can answer based on the context, right? So in here, we provide the field to, for example, provide your prompt or provide your context, and you can test whether the output is according to your requirement or not before you code it to your application. And then in here, you can also adjust the parameters such as temperature, top K, top P, output token, and so on and so forth. That's define the characteristic of the output of Gen AI that you will develop later on. So all in one place before you code it to your application. So basically, this is the big picture of what Vertex AI actually. I have explained a little bit about Gen AI, but this is actually the overview of the Vertex AI. So basically, it support you from the data readiness, feature engineering, training, serving, tuning, and serving at the edge, and also model monitoring and model management. As part of the offering, of course, we have auto ML that simplify everything. But again, as mentioned before, if you know what you are doing in AI ML, you can pick and choose the services from data labeling, for example, or to do the serving, prediction, continuous monitoring, model registry, and so on and so forth using a Vertex AI. So this is why customer choose the Vertex AI as their platform to develop the machine learning model. The first, because as I mentioned before, it is a unified data and AI platform, right, for all users, right? If you develop your model traditionally, usually first you of course need to have a data set, right? And then the first question is, where will you store your data set? And then the second one, you need to develop code to train your model, or to train your model using the data set you have. Where this training will happen, how much the capacity that you use, whether you have a constraint in capacity or not, and how to load the data set. And then after you complete the training, you're already testing, and then you're okay, and how to serve it right? That's the other question, where to load your data to serve it to the public, for example. So if you do it traditionally, it will be hard. It will be kind of disconnected experience. But if you use the Vertex AI, it's kind of the unified experience. You can load the data from the same place. You can train using the same UI. You can monitor. You can serve from the same UI and monitor the traffic, right? All within the same place, all with the same experience. So you don't need to go to many other place or many console just to do this kind of things. And also the second one is of course the capability for ML ops. After you deploy your model, of course you need to tune it, you need to improve the model and so on and so forth. That's also available in Vertex AI, because usually AI or machine learning is not just one time task. You need to enhance the model by the time goes by, right? And the third one, of course, because usually AI and machine learning usually need a massive infrastructure, whether it is for training and for serving. Google Cloud provide, of course, the best in class technology. As I mentioned before, for training, you just not limited to GPU. If you need a faster processing, you can use TPU, right? And then to serving, you can leverage our virtual machines to serve your model in scalable way. And of course, the last one is a state of the art of AI, because Google is basically is a data analytic and AI company. We keep reinventing something or keep researching to provide the best technology for you and improve the customer experience. And if you are worried about this kind of things, of course, if you are developing the models, you might ask how I protect my intellectual properties, how do I ensure that my model is grounded in factuality, and what is the security that I can have, right? In Google, we all know your concern, and we provide the technology to serve that purpose, right? For example, if it is regarding to IP, we are equipped with a data leak protection, which can protect your data to prevent it going outside Google and download it by unauthorized person, for example. Or if you need to ground it in factuality, this is a common case for generative AI usually, because generative AI usually can have hallucination, and to make it factual, you need to connect it to a database, for example, the vector database. So the thing is, integration in Google is very easy. We provide some other services that can support your model, so it will be grounded to factuality. And of course, the security. Google Cloud is Google Cloud is cloud platform that very concerned about the security, because we are not just serving the Google Cloud. Google also have search, also have YouTube, and many services that being accessed by 1 billion people maybe every month. So security is a must for us. We keep your data encrypted. We have in identity and access management system to allow you define who can access what. And we also have several other services to protect your data and then to ensure your data keep in safe. So that's all about the Vertex AI overview that Google Cloud have. So basically, we have a complete environment or complete setup for you to start your AI and ML learning. And the other hand, we keep your data secure. We protect your IP. And if you need, for example, your generative AI grounded in factuality, the integration inside the Google Cloud, between the Google Cloud services is very seamless. So you can use whatever services to support your AI and machine learning model. I think that's all from me. I hope you are get some insight on what is a Vertex AI now. And maybe in the next session, we will see how it in action, right? So I will hand over back to Nick before we go to the next session to Jovinka. to you.
Thank you, Mas Alamsha. Next, we have my team member Jovinka. Jovinka will be doing a demo of Vertex, and before that, she'll do a quick poll. So I'll hand it to you, Jovinka. Yeah.
Thank you, Nick. So we will have the second poll now. So we only have one question for you. So are you familiar with Google's Vertex AI platform? Have you used it before? You have heard, but you have not used it, or you have never heard about Vertex AI at all? So let's take some time to do the second poll. Okay, so we have our poll result here. Okay, majority or 72% have never heard about Vertex AI. So I guess that's good, since Pak Alam share about what is Vertex AI, and then next we will see how we can use Vertex AI in action. So without further ado, let's just go to the next session. Allow me to share my screen. Okay. Good morning, everyone. So I'm, as introduced by Nick earlier, I'm Jovinka. I'm an analytics consultant in iZeno here. So I'm going to take you through for the last session, which is the demo with Vertex AI. So in the demo later, we will see how we do sentiment analysis using AutoML in Vertex AI. But before that, I think it will be good for us to understand a little bit more about what is sentiment analysis. Okay, sentiment analysis in short is actually a technique to analyze text and categorize the sentiment in a piece of text as positive, negative, or neutral. Although in some cases, you can categorize it as another emotion, for example, angry, happy, sad, excited, or any other emotions. So this is actually more of a case-by-case basis on how do you want to categorize it. So other than that, how do we actually use sentiment analysis in the industry or in our organization? So first, related to marketing or advertising industries, or even your marketing team in your organization. For sure, if we sell products or if we sell services, we often receive customers' feedback. Or even if we don't receive any customer feedback, we often ask our customer their feedbacks about our products or about our services. So this is how we can use, where we can use sentiment analysis. We can understand their feedback, analyze their feedback to understand how our customers actually perceive our products or our campaigns. So that's what we can do. Even in finance industry, we can also use sentiment analysis to analyze customer satisfaction for their financial services or their products. This is actually applicable not only in finance industries, but actually basically in all organizations that is offering something, be it products or services. And then in e-commerce or retail, it's very important for them to understand how their customers feels about their specific products, and also to understand what is their popular products or even features in their mobile application, for example, is also very important for them. And then next, we can also use sentiment analysis to analyze how effective is our marketing campaign. So we can monitor public sentiment towards our campaign, and then to adjust our marketing strategies based on the customer feedback or the public's feedback. In finance, usually sentiment analysis can be used to analyze financial news, analyze social media, or even other sources to understand the investor sentiment. So in these financial industries, often we see that sentiment analysis is being utilized to predict stock pricing, whether it will go up or it will go down in the next few hours or in the next few days. And then lastly, not only to understand how customers perceive our products, we can also do competitor analysis. So we see how customer feels about our competitors' product. So we can compare sentiment about our products against our competitors' product. So in the next slide, we will see how sentiment analysis can actually help your business. So first, sentiment analysis can help us to increase our customer satisfaction and loyalty, because when we understand our customers' feedback, when we analyze it, when we understand how our customers perceive our products, hence we can do more product development. We know which products should we develop first. So it's more about prioritization. And then we can, once we develop our products, we can increase our customer satisfaction because we actually offer something, products or services that they actually need or that they actually interested in. So with this, sentiment analysis can help the business to identify areas for improvement and also enhance the customer satisfaction. Once our customers satisfied with our products and services, they will be more loyal to us, to our organization. And then second, indirectly, it will increase sales and revenue, because by understanding what our customer wants and interested in, we can cater such products and services for them. So indirectly, it will increase the sales and revenue because they will keen to purchase more, purchase something that they actually need and that they actually want. Third is about the competitor analysis that we talked earlier. So it's competitive advantage. So it's to gain a competitive advantage by addressing areas where our competitors might be falling short. So for example, if let's say you see your competitors' customers keep complaining about certain products, you can take this chance to improve that products or to come up with similar products but better, which is can mitigate the problems that your competitors' customers have. And then lastly is cost reduction. Like I mentioned earlier, sentiment analysis can help you to prioritize, for example, which product to develop, help you to narrow down which marketing campaign should you actually do, which marketing campaigns that your customer is actually interested in, or which product should you promote more. So with this, with sentiment analysis, you can manage the customer support efficiently as well. So in the future, it can reduce operational costs in all of your department, marketing or customer support and any other department. So before we go into the demo, let me just reiterate this a little bit because this is what we're going to do later in the demo. So first, we're going to load the dataset, and then we're going to use AutoML features in Vertex AI, and then to train the model. And then next, we will make the prediction and we will test our model. Okay, let me stop sharing and reshare my screen. So I hope you can see my Vertex AI screen now. So first, this is what you will see when you're logging into your Google Cloud Console. Next, let's open our Vertex AI. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay. You might notice that there are multiple tabs on the left. Some of them has been explained by Pak Alam earlier in the previous session, but let me allow you to take you through to some of the tools that is usually used by our users. So first is the dashboard. So in this dashboard, you can actually find a lot of things. You can see the tutorials related to Vertex AI. It will be very useful if you, since I see that most of you haven't heard about Vertex AI. So when you sign up for the Google free credits and then you want to try to use Vertex AI, you can see the tutorial or you can access the tutorial here. And then next, there will be a lot of API that might help you as well, or that has been enabled before to help you train or build your machine learning model. And then next, there are some tools that is pretty popular here in Vertex AI. First is Colab Enterprise. Maybe it has been explained before that for the coders people, they can also utilize Vertex AI. There is a Python notebook over here, and then they can utilize Colab Enterprise for it. And then next is Model Garden, which we will see a little bit later after the dashboard session. And then next, as explained before, the Generative AI Studio. So all these popular features can be accessed or you have the shortcut here from the dashboard. And then next, among all the tools that you see on the left, Vertex AI has categorized it into few categories. So first is to prepare your data. To help you preparing the data, there will be data sets, data labeling, feature stores, tools, or features that you need that you can use in Vertex AI. And for model development, there are other tools as well. One of them is Model Garden. Maybe you are familiar with it. You're familiar with it. And then finally, once you train the model, what we usually do is to deploy, and then we can use our machine learning model that we have trained. So all the shortcuts are here. And then finally, for our admin folks, we can see for our admin or the project lead, you can see the training data or the data set that is often used by your team member. And then second, the model, and that has been recently used by your team member or often used by the team member. And then the predictions. Okay, I think after this, let's start to build our sentiment analysis. So first thing first, we need to load our data set. Oops, sorry about the technical issue. Let me stop sharing for a while.
Okay, while Jovinka is setting it up, maybe what we can do is fill this space with some of the questions that are coming in. We had a question earlier on about demand forecasting, right? So if we later find out that the demand forecast is not accurate, is there a way to fix it? And can we fully understand how AI works in regard so we're able to find the problem and do something on our part? So this is a very good question. It's a common question that people ask, not just about demand forecasting, but in machine learning in general, right? And so my response is, at least for forecasting, usually, I think as a blanket statement, it's fair to say that very few people can forecast the future accurately, right? And no matter how advanced the techniques are, or no matter how good the data is, anything can happen at any point in time. So I'm gonna caveat this with forecasting is a very challenging activity. But having said, there are very good techniques increasingly to help you get better at your forecasting, right? Model accuracy shouldn't be the only thing that one optimizes to, right? And even when we talk model accuracy, my first point is there's always going to be confidence intervals, meaning to say you're going to have an upper bound as well as a lower bound of confidence. 95%, 99% accuracy, confidence accuracy, that's typically how we communicate it, because no one's going to be 100% accurate at a particular point. But of course, the bounds have to be reasonable. So there are different types of models which have smaller bounds. There are different types of models that you can take in historical data, not just historical data, but external data, right? So traditional forecasting models, they only take what we call a univariate model, or they only take, let's say you're predicting sales, they only take your sales information. But there are some models increasingly that can take multiple dimensions. So your public holidays, what your competitors are doing, whether you give any promotions, whether you give any discounts, that affect your sales, right? So there are multiple multivariate models. After you look at accuracy, the next dimension is interpretability, right? Because accuracy is only one dimension, you want to see why the model is giving you the forecast that it's giving you, right? And the forecast is this way because of reason A, reason B, reason C. So that gives you more confidence that the forecast makes sense, right? So interpretability is another metric that you can look at. And of course, if the accuracy of the model is not good, the last step, of course, always is to retrain that model with new data, with better data, with more complete data, and then redeploy that demand forecasting. So it's really about a full cycle of that sort of AI end-to-end AI journey. Yeah. So we'll pause here because it looks like Jovinka is up. Okay.
Yep.
You're good.
Thank you so much, Nick. Yep.
And
I'm
we will
good.
get to the question on Vertex after this, because it's a very important topic. Who are the main competitors, and later we'll bring in Mas Alam to also discuss this point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So one more thing that we can see in the dashboard for our admin, and the next one is for the project lead, is the billing. So you can access the billing dashboard from here. The shortcut is over here, and then you can see what is your billing for the past 1 week, and then which model actually consume most of your credits. So you can check everything over here. And then the last part, you can see here that you can access what is the recent errors, recent data sets, recent models, and then you can get into it especially for the errors, if you need to do something with it. Okay, so next is the model garden, explained before. A lot has been explained here. I just want to reiterate again, and I want you to see that there are over 100 models or pre-trained models, or we can call it foundation models over here. And then it has been categorized into few categories. First is modalities. So depends on what kind of use cases that you want to do. You can see language, vision, tabular, documents. It really depends on what kind of problems or business problems of business questions that you have or that you want to solve. And then second is task. So they categorize it by task. And then lastly, categorize it by features. And then, as mentioned by Pak Alam before, Generative AI Studio is over here. So when you log into your Vertex AI or sign up for your Google Cloud platform, feel free to explore, because there are a few very interesting models over here that can help you to kickstart your first generative AI projects. Next, I want to I want to take you to the data set because we're going to start to build our sentiment analysis model. So once we go to the data set, we can click create to create our first data set. You can rename it to anything. Vertex AI, for example. And then maybe you might notice you haven't loaded anything or you have not imported any data. But I want to explain a little bit here that the data set that is accepted by Vertex AI, there are a lot of types that is accepted. First is image data. You can also import tabular data, you can import text data or video data. But for today, we're going to import text data, and then we're going to do sentiment analysis. Before that, let me just share what is our data set looks like. Okay, so this is what our data set looks like, the data set that we're going to use to build or to train our sentiment analysis model. So first column is the customer reviews. We have over 480 reviews over here on the first column. And on the second column, we have sentiment score. So the sentiment score scale is from 0 to 2, so 0, 1, and 2. 0 means neutral, 1 means positive, and 2 means negative. It's just in this data set. And this score is actually determined by human earlier. So this has been categorized by human. Let me reshare my Vertex AI. Okay, so since we already know what our data looks like, we can go to the text sentiment analysis straight away. And then it will ask us what is our sentiment scale. As you see in the data sets is actually 0 to 2. Once you have double checked everything, click create. And then here you have 3 options to import your data. So you can upload your data from your computer, upload text documents, or import files from your computer. But today we will use the third one, the last one, which is importing files from cloud storage. So we have uploaded the data to our cloud storage before this. So this is our data, sentimentdata.csv. I will click select. And then if you need to add another file, you can. But in this case, we have only one data set. And then maybe we need to talk a little bit about this, about the data split. So if you have multiple files and you have categorized it to, okay, I have 3 data sets. One is for training, one for validation, one for test. That's cool. You can add another file and then put the data split as training, validation, and test. But in our case today, we have one data set. We have a lot of rows or a lot of data inside it, but we haven't split it. So we want Google Vertex AI to auto-split them into training, validation, and test. If when you are trying it, you forget what I was talking earlier, you can always see the question mark hover over this question mark over here, and you can see some explanation. So when you select default, it will be randomly assigned to training, validation, and test sets. Once it's done, you click continue. It will take some time to load the data, few minutes, not that long, but I have the data sets that we have loaded earlier so that we can move on to the next step faster. So we have the data set over here is exactly the same as what we have loaded. So as I mentioned earlier, we have over 484 records to be exact. And then you can see the summary of our data over here. So we have 0 unlabeled data, and then 484 labeled data. So labeled in our data set means there is a sentiment score, or the second column that you saw earlier, 0, 1, and 2. So we can see here at the bottom, we have 151 records that is neutral, reviews that is neutral. We have 181 reviews that is positive, and lastly 152 records that is negative. I will say that this data set is pretty good because it's quite balanced. In some of the cases, it is possible that the negative review might be very less, or the positive review is very less, because people usually write reviews when they want to complain. So this is actually an amazing data set over here. So we can see on the left, we can quickly check our data that we have loaded. You can expand it, and you can see, for example, this product is a good choice for people who are looking for a product that is both stylish and functional. So in here, in our data set, it's marked as 0 or neutral. So if you feel you as the data scientist, or you as a subject matter expert feel that this is actually supposed to be positive, not neutral, you can easily change the sentiment score over here. So you can change to 1, and you save it. Moving forward, Vertex AI will use this data set instead of, so the first row is positive instead of the first record marked as neutral. So once you have reviewed, either some people prefer to review all before they do the training, or if you have reviewed the data set earlier, it's cool too. You can take some samples to see if this is what I actually want, if this is the data set that I actually want to use. So once it's done, once you have reviewed everything or just some sample, you can easily click train new model. So when you're training the new model, they will ask you the model training method. So for today, we will use AutoML. But if you are you have more knowledge in machine learning, you can feel free to always use the custom training as well. So custom training, you can set up the hyperparameters, you can set up the training containers, and then you can see the pricing and so on and so forth. But in AutoML, Vertex AI has chosen the appropriate or the most efficient way to train your machine learning model. And then once it's done, you click continue, and then you can rename your model. It's fine. You can rename your model name. Once it's done, click start training. That's it. So you are now training your model. So how fast or how long this training will take, it actually, like Pak Alam said, it depends on the resources, depends on the data set. So you can manage that. So I will use one of the model that we have trained. It's the same, which just we have trained it beforehand for this demo purposes. So this is the result of our sentiment analysis model training using AutoML. So you can see the summary of your model here, the precision, the recall, the total items of the reviews or records, 484, and then how did Vertex AI actually split this data into 3 data sets: training, validation, and test, for model building or model training purposes. You can see the result of the confusion metric here. On the left is the actual label from your data set, at the top, you can see is the predicted label. We can see over here that those neutral reviews are all 100% correctly predicted as neutral reviews. However, for our reviews that is positive, we can observe over here that 6% of the reviews that is actually positive predicted as neutral, and then 94% correctly predicted as positive. And then for the negative, it's actually correctly predicted as negative, all of them. So from here, we can see, and then we can decide whether we want to move forward with this model. If we feel, okay, this is good enough, we can move forward to deploy this model, and can be used by us, by our team, the data science, the data team, or even can be used by business users to predict the sentiment analysis. But if you feel that, okay, this is not what I expected, you can always train a new data set, maybe add more data that is positive results for positive reviews, for example, so that you can retrain your data, and then hopefully you can get a better model. And then once you have reviewed it and you're okay with it, you can go to deploy the model. So you can deploy to the endpoint for real time, for real time prediction, or you can deploy it as batch over here. If you want to train as your batch data, or you want to test your batch data and then get the prediction. But before we deploying anything, it will be good for you to always test the model. So I have two reviews over here. So imagine this scenario that I'm working in a bank, and I am actually a product manager managing few credit cards in my organization. And then it's my responsibility to make sure that all our users have positive reviews. So whenever we get a negative reviews, I need to take action to fix that issues, to mitigate that issue. And then yesterday, I just received this one review from my customer. I know that this review is not really good, but I just want to test whether the model is good enough to predict my customer reviews, because I get over 1,000 reviews every week. It can be good, it can be bad, it can be neutral reviews, but I just want to test this one reviews that I just received yesterday. So my customer said that I have been using this credit card for the past 2 years. My card has been used twice by someone impersonating me. And I would not recommend you to use this credit card. And if you are currently using it, I would ask you to be careful. You know that this is not really good review. And then the model can actually correctly predict this review as to which is negative. And then another one is one of the customer of my organization write this review. It's pretty generic, but I just want to test to make sure that it can categorize it correctly or predict it correctly. So you can see that this is pretty positive, wonderful organization, excellent customer service, yada, yada, yada. So this is, they can actually predict this review as positive or 1. So that's actually it. So once you're done, you have tested your model up to your standard, work for your case, you can deploy, and then it can be used by everyone in your organization. So let me quickly go back to my slide before I end up my session. Okay, so just to sum up, advantages of using Google AutoML. First, time efficiency. It automates many of the model building, and you have seen it in action yourself, how easy to use Google AutoML. And then second is effortless model building. It is user-friendly interface. It is intuitive. You can create a high quality models without writing complex code or even without any machine learning background. And then third is there are a lot of wide ranges of use cases. You have seen in the model garden earlier that there are over hundreds of foundation model or pre-trained model. And then lastly is scalability, like what Ala mentioned, whether let's say now you are a startup company, maybe in a few years you become a unicorn, in a few years you become big corporate. So Vertex AI can scale with your needs, whether you are now a startup or you are a conglomerate, it can scale with you over the time. And then it seamlessly integrates with Google Cloud, other Google Cloud products, making it easy to deploy models in the production environments. I have here, this is my last slide, actually. So this is just a summary of Google architecture for data science. It starts with data ingestion, then move on to data processing and exploration, data warehouse, machine learning, and then application, prediction in application and insight. And you can see there are a lot of Google Cloud products that can support data science, with which Vertex AI, which is under machine learning, is one of it. So that is actually for this session. I will hand over back to Nick. Nick, over to you.
Cool. Thank you very much, Joe. And very good and clear explanation of Google Vertex and the demo there. So now we're going to open it up to questions. Let me just quickly share my screen again. Let's see. Present slideshow. All right. Oops. Okay, so we're going to open up some questions. I think we have some questions coming in already. Of course, we have a team here on the call to help to answer, right? So we'll answer the first one. Who are Google Vertex main competitors? And for this one, I would like to bring back our partner, Mas Alam Shah. Would you like to unmute yourself and just kind of address this question? I can also add some more flavor to it later.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, so very good question. Of course, the major competitor usually come from the our fellow others cloud provider, because AI and ML is one of the things that are happening now. However, how we differentiate ourselves with competitor is there are two things that I can make conclusion in general. The first one is about the integration, because if you talk about AI and ML, as I mentioned before, the data availability and integration to the system that supply the data is number one things that you need to consider, right? Because like for example, in the example that Jovinka mentioned, I think she provide the data set from the spreadsheet, for example, or CSV, right? But if you want to create more advanced model, of course, you need to provide more data, and usually this data sits either in the data warehouse or in other subsystem, right? And as I mentioned before, the integration in Google ecosystem is very seamless. You can tap into our data warehouse BigQuery to create or to develop your own model and have a more accurate model, because you have a more set of data. And the second one, of course, about the technology behind it. The first one is data set, as mentioned before. The second one is the technology. How will you train your data, right? To train your data, you need resources, and up until now, a majority of the competitor maximum they only use a GPU to enhance or to improve the speed of the training. However, Google Cloud, other than CPU, GPU, you also have a TPU or tensor processing unit, which is faster than GPU. So if you have such extensive set of data, but you need to train it on later on, you need to serve it with the lowest latency of lowest processing unit, right? So Google provide those capabilities so you can have a better experience in creating or serving your AI ML model. I think that's the two our main differentiator. Of course, the other one is, there are some players that only play in certain field. For example, only do specialty provider industry solution and so on and so forth. Basically, that's depends on your requirement, but in general, if you need a unified experience, integrated experience, I think the Vertex AI is the answers. Yeah. Thanks, Nick.
Cool. Thank you very much. Maybe just want to add to that. Google has always been a leader in the data and AI space. Ever since I remember I was working with Google back in 2014. I worked with an internal technology they call it Dremel, which is a database engine technology that actually powers BigQuery today, right? And it's still one of the best BigQuery engines around in the market. So BigQuery, of course, came out a long time ago. We have TensorFlow. TensorFlow came out from Google. That's the foundation of almost most of the deep learning that we see today, deep learning working with images and audio files and things like that. So TensorFlow came out of Google. And then more recently, as you guys are probably familiar with LLMs and ChatGPT, actually Google published the groundbreaking work on transformer architecture, right? There's this paper called Attention is All You Need. This is the research paper that is the foundation of all transformers, which is basically what ChatGPT and a lot of other models are based on, right? The T in ChatGPT stands for transformers. So Google is going to continue to be a major player in the data and AI market. And of course, as Mas Alam shared as well, it's not just the AI aspect, but everything that comes along with it, right? The databases that can scale, the security, the enterprise-grade security, and the ability to handle all your data residency concerns, things like that. Yeah. Okay, so I think we've addressed this question. We will go on to the next question about sentiment analysis. So in the case where the input sentence has both sentiments, a good and a bad feeling, how about the result? How does the result look like in the sentiment analysis model? Do you want to take that, Joe?
Yeah, sure. Based on my experience, is usually we'll see which one is the majority. So if let's say you have two sentences over there, and then or three sentences, two sentences is actually more towards positive, and then one is more towards negative, it will classify it as positive. But if you're not really happy with this result, you can always tune the hyperparameters. There are a few ways that you can parameters that you can tune so that it can be fit to what you actually need or what you actually want. Yeah. So the rest of the panelists, if you want to add on, feel free.
Sure. Yeah. So it's a sentiment score is just a score. It's a probability score. And it, because it's I can be between 1 and 5, can be between 0 and 1. It will give you the average of the entire text. Depending on your use case, if you have a very long, of course, if it's a little 1 or 2 sentences, then you want to be able to classify that sentiment. But if you are looking at a longer text, like several paragraphs where it's very complex and a lot of different feelings and things like that, there are other models out there that you can use. An example would be topic modeling, right? So you can actually identify certain topics within a paragraph and then say, okay, this is related to this particular topic, this is related to this topic. And so there are different ways that you can analyze the text. You can split it up before you do more sentiment analysis. A lot of different use cases. So if you want to speak more, we can have that conversation. Yeah, look at your data set, and then we can have that conversation. Cool. All right. Let's move on because there's quite a few questions. Next question. It would be great if we can have Google Malaysia have a physical developer training day. I completely agree. So we will definitely organize this at some point. Maybe we'll discuss this. We'll take this back with Mas Alam Shah and the Google team. Potentially, we can hold a physical event with Google in Malaysia and KL. We have a team there. So yeah, thank you, Michael, for your suggestion. Next question: can Vertex read incoming emails and automatically reply to generic or common questions if the same email also contains other questions that need to respond just to answer the part it has high confidence level? This is a very good question. I'm going to take this because we also are running out of time. So it could be emails, it could be other sources of information, even contact center, chatbot, whatever. Typically what would happen, because you don't want to be overwhelmed with too much information, or even if you're using an LLM, LLM is good for it can address a lot of things, but you may not need it for all situations. So typically there would be a funnel, right? So like in the case of emails, if you're able to get a chatbot or a generic response to the query, that would be the first layer of response. And then if it gets more difficult, then it can get into a more customized response using an LLM, using some sort of large language model. And then if it requires an agent to address, right, or a human to respond, you can even integrate that response with something to assist the agent, right? Because agents would be responding to a lot of emails and a lot of chatbot requests every day and every hour. And so if they can have an assistant, right, what we call a real-time agent assist to respond to the questions, that's an additional layer. So that would be the third layer. But it's very important to have that funnel. It cannot the agent won't be able to handle all those the requests at one point in time. Yeah, so excellent question. Again, this requires a bit of solutioning, but we can take that offline. I will leave some contact details for you to drop us an email, and we can have a longer discussion. How do you know what models to use in your model garden? Fantastic question. So typically what happens is when you're training a model, there are different types of models for different use cases. So what Jobinka showed just now, you have a model for sentiment analysis, you have a model for topic classification, you have a model for different use cases. So first choice would be to select the model for your use case. If there are multiple models for the same use case, then you can actually try the different models, right? And again, my suggestion always is to try the different models. It's very easy to use it, and then from there you look at the results, look at the accuracy. Are you happy with it? And then you basically productionize whichever model that you think is the best, right, for your purpose, or whichever model that you think is the most accurate, right? So number one, identify the use case. There's usually one model associated with one use case. If there's multiple models, try all of them, and then pick the best one which you think has the best result. Okay, all right. We are going on to the next question. If our dataset is in English, can it still work to analyze reviews written in different languages? Absolutely. So in this case, there are different APIs. There are different ways to translate your input data into English to work off that language. You can actually do it also natively in that language, right? You can also, if let's say Bahasa is your language of choice, you can do the analysis. You don't even have to translate it in English, right? You can use different, for example, large language models to do the analysis directly in the language, right? So there are different ways to do this, and the answer is yes. So of course, we can have a discussion on this a bit later, right? To do the translation. And I'm just going to pause because there are a lot of questions. Any of my panelists want to jump in at this point in time to answer any of the 3 or 4 questions that we've gone through? Okay. Don't have. So let's go on. Is there a solution to auto-extract images attached to emails and resize them into smaller file size while still ensuring it is legible? Attach the smaller images back to the email. Okay, so a couple of thoughts on this. One is to interact directly with your emails, right? It has to be attached to, so you have to be able to call the emails directly from your email server, right? So connectivity to the email server is important. If that's not possible, then there are other techniques that we can use that are completely separate from AI, right? You may have heard of some other techniques like RPA and things like that that will be able to read via the UI layer and extract the relevant information from an email. But again, AI may not be the chosen solution, right? Vertex AI. We need to check if there's a similar use case that we can use within Google that we can solve your question. Yeah, and this will be, of course, a much more deeper conversation that we have with you. Okay, next. The images are received in forms that contain human handwriting. Okay, so I think you're just following up from your previous, yeah. So definitely, again, connecting to the email server is one, but let's have a deeper discussion. It may not be even, it may just be one additional step to convert the images or to push the images to a storage, right, before you do the analysis on that. But let's have a deeper discussion. And then last but not least, is there any videos I can watch how Vertex AI in action to help us to optimize aircraft manufacturing project? Fantastic. So I've worked with aircraft companies before, aircraft manufacturing. You're right. I think one of the key in aircraft manufacturing is you can imagine that there are thousands of sensors across the different components of the aircraft. And as a data scientist yourself, it's very difficult to be a domain expertise in an aircraft, right? So a typical video that you would find on Vertex would be more generic, right? It may show you how to do anomaly detection, but in order for us to apply Vertex anomaly detection in your particular use case with thousands of sensors and thousands of different data points, that would have to go to a further discussion. Again, Sulisti, Jono, we're happy to take this conversation offline, and we can have a more detailed brainstorming session. Cool. All right, I realize we're at time. So just to wrap up, again, you can find iZeno here on the Google website. iZeno is already working with Google on several large accounts, banks, and so on. So we have a very strong partnership with Google, number one. Number two, we have a team that is Google certified, right? We have people in Indonesia, we have people in Jakarta, of course, Malaysia, KL, Bangkok, Thailand. We can support you on your journey. If you want to know more about Google Cloud, especially using Vertex AI for your projects, as I mentioned, don't hesitate to reach out to us. If you're not sure how to start, drop us an email. We can have a discussion. We can go into more details later. Unfortunately, we don't have the time for that today. You can find the email for marketing on the website, on the screen. If you want to contact me directly, my email is just my name, nicholas.eng@izeno.com. So thank you very much for attending, and have a great rest of the week. Thank you very much.